Okay, I want to thank everybody for attending today's session. This is the PACRIM Tech and Accessibility Training Session for the people who are volunteering to assist the help desk. I want to first thank you for volunteering to help. We really do appreciate it. It really adds a lot to our conference. So the objectives for today's training is just so you will learn what to be expected when you enter the help desk. I'm going to be covering basically just 3 topics: protocol for answering questions, how to isolate the problem if you get asked about one, and who to contact when the problem is beyond what you can deal with. It could just be a matter of time or what exactly it is. So we'll be going over everything you'll need to know to work at the help desk. Okay, the first area is the protocol for answering questions. So when you get in there, we've decided to combine the help desk, so there won't be separate technology accessibility. We're having everyone there just so we can sort of assist people as they come in with their questions. So there's a few things I think would help us all out. Number one, if somebody does access it during the conference, if you can get their name and their contact information, the best place to do that is to record it in the chat box. That way, if they leave or if something gets cut off, we at least have some idea of how to get in touch with them and see if we can help them out. Next thing to do is to ask what the relationship is to the conference, because this will make a big difference on what types of problems they may be having and how we can assist them. So are they a presenter? Are they a participant? Are they a Zoom room host? Are they something else? So you want to be able to ask them that so you can direct the question and to who it may be best, suited to. The third thing to do is to find out what the problem is. A lot of times, this is a good way to figure out whether you're going to spend, 5 minutes trying to address it, if you need to hand it off to somebody else, or who to contact, or how much of an emergency it is. A lot of times there are problems that we cannot fix while the conference is going on. So I just want to be clear about that. You are not expected to solve everything that comes into the help desk. We're going to do the best we can. Doing live presentations via Zoom does have its challenges on both ends, the presenter, the host, and also the participant. So just be aware of that. Okay, how to isolate the problem. So they come in, you've gotten that information from them. Next thing to do is we have a list, a volunteer checklist for PACRIM, has all the information, has the full schedule. It will be showing you exactly, where the sessions are, what the URLs are. So it's a one-stop place for finding what the sessions URLs are, who's presenting, what time and what day. We have to realize we are going to be dealing with people who have different time zones. I'm going to be going over each one of these things, but I just want to sort of give you a brief overview. The next one is internet connection problems. This can happen to anybody. It happens at most meetings I've attended. Someone's internet goes slow. So we'll just tell you how you can briefly give us some answers on that. There are also going to be some session viewing problems. This has to do with how the participant actually enters into the Zoom presentation, and they have a lot of control over how the thing looks. They may not have a high level of skill use. You can attend a lot of Zoom meetings and not have to make any adjustments. So they may say, well, I go to 100 Zoom meetings a week. That doesn't necessarily mean they played around with the various options they have for viewing it. Last thing we'll be going over is the captioning ASL interpreter. What's the difference? What are the questions you can answer? Which ones you aren't? And we'll also be going over who to contact. We don't expect you to try and fix these problems, so just be aware of that. Okay, so first one is access to the Zoom session room. So I have the URL here. I'm going to put it into the chat. I will be sending this out to you. I guess I can't actually. So we'll be sending all this information out to you before the conference. One of the challenges that we're going to have is that people are in different time zones. They may not realize that all the sessions were given in, Hawaii Standard Time. They may have gotten mixed up. They may have gotten wrong information. We do have people, switching, being added on, which they may have accessed the thing, a week ago and got a different set of information. So always just check the volunteer checklist. That's the first thing you can do. Are you in this session? It's at this time. And then here's the URL. So it's all right there. It's real easy to access. You'll be able to give them much better idea of, if they are actually going to the right session. Because if they pick the wrong URL, the problem they're going to have is they could go to an empty room with nobody there, and they may not know what's going on. So just double check, make sure they got the right day, time, and presentation, and also they got the right URL. The last thing to do is always make sure you check the Zoom address. That's also on the box. It's going to be at the bottom of it. It'll be it'll be a URL for the Zoom room. It'll have the session on it. So just double check to make sure they got the right one. They could have copied it wrong. There's a lot of things that could have gone wrong. So that's the first few steps that I would expect to take. You should try and take. Now there will be other people in the Zoom, the help Zoom room. So don't feel like you have to take it this upon all yourself. If you want to hand it off to somebody else, feel free to do it. Okay, so this is probably one of the most common problems, and that's people's internet connection. On our end, we're hosting this through ITS, the University of Hawaii at Manoa. They have an excellent reputation for maintaining their bandwidth. We've also been guaranteed, we got all our Zoom accounts from them, and I've had pretty good luck with them. A lot of the times it's the person logging in that's going to be having the challenges. Just to give you some idea of the types of things could happen. This is once they're actually in the session, the one that they want to be on, and they find the sound is lagging, the videos freeze up. There's not a lot they can do about it. So you might want to give them some suggestions. One is to find another internet connection. They might not be able to access that session, but the future ones, it might help out. They might have an unsteady Wi-Fi connection. You might want to suggest trying to find another one. Another solution is to reboot the computer. This is typically will solve a lot of problems, but it doesn't always necessarily solve Wi-Fi. So you don't want to sit there and try and figure out what kind of computer they have, what kind of connection. That's not what you're here to do. You're not here to teach people how to use Zoom, or more importantly, how to access or troubleshoot their internet problems. Third thing you can suggest is they ask others, if they're in a session, just ask them, are you having the same problem with this speaker? Could be the speaker having, because the speaker is not actually hosting it. The speaker is actually logging in, has more of a presenter status. I mean, it has more of a participant status. So to suggest, if you're in a session and things aren't working, just bring it up. I'm having your videos freezing. Because a lot of times they aren't going to know. They could be sitting there chatting along and nobody tells them anything. It could be happening to everybody. Okay, this is going to be one that's probably going to be, I'm going to say after the internet connection, will probably going to be one of the bigger challenges that people are going to have. They get into the session. Once again, this is once they've entered the session. The screen isn't looking in the way they want it to. There are ways that the participant, the person logging in, can change the way their screen looks. Now, I don't expect you to be any sort of, Zoom pros, gurus, because I'm not. I have challenges doing this too. But probably the number one thing they can do, just going to give you three little suggestions to give them. One is to change from gallery to view, speaker view. This might free up some space on their screen. They might have things being covered up they hadn't expected. Change to full screen view. Sometimes they may be looking at a little tiny screen and they're looking to either read the captioning or they're trying to access the ASL interpreter. So just make that suggestion. The last thing here is to adjust the split screen feature. That makes it so the presenter may be giving some information through their slides. Another part of the screen is going to be the two ASL interpreters and possibly a captioning window. So if they want to make that bigger, they can grab the bar in between and adjust the size of the screens in relationship to the other. Now, I want to be real clear. We don't expect any of you to go into the session or try to screen share or do anything like that. You're just going to give these as suggestions. If they're already, 10 minutes into a presentation, the chances of them being able to fix it, or you being able to go and fix is not real high. You don't want to really be spending your time trying to troubleshoot, someone's, Zoom limitations. I really want to make that clear that they cannot expect you to come and fix things. So if it's, like I said, if it's 10 minutes in the presentation, most of the presentations, except for something like the keynote speech or a few of the ones, are all going to be for 45 minutes. So typically what was suggested is they give the presentation for half an hour and they do question and answers for 15 minutes. Now, not everyone's going to adhere to that, but if you already missed 10 minutes and then you logged into the help desk and then you go back and try to fix things, there's a good chance that you probably already missed most of the presentation. So the suggestions that you're making are for the next time they log into a session. Let them know that the sessions are being recorded, so they will be able to have access to the recordings after the conference. And just let them know that in case they have a lot of anxiety about it. So they will have access for, I think, about 2 months. Okay, so this is more of the accessibility issues that may come up. There are going to be 2 ASL interpreters. Now, these are going to be a video picture of 2 people doing American Sign Language. So we're going to have 2 windows spotlighted on the screen. So that means all the screens should be able to see them. The 2 interpreters are going to be switching off. Someone says, well, how come only one of the interpreters is doing it? Well, it's because they switch off. They don't do nonstop interpreting for 45 minutes. Just so you know, it's SNL interpreter. It's going to be a person up there. They may also, if the presenter, we do have, I believe we have 2 deaf presenters. So they may also be relaying what the speaker is saying in addition to answering questions. So just sort of tell the people they need to be a little bit patient. It does take some time. Doing American Sign Language and interpreting in real time is a real skill. And I would say it's actually a talent. So they need to have a little bit of patience for, there might be a little bit of lag between what someone says and what they do. Okay, check the captioner. So captioning is text on the screen. So that's going to be whatever the spoken words that's being said through, whether it's the speaker or a participant or a video or whatever they have. It's just text of what's being said, the spoken word. So that's the difference between the caption and an SNL interpreter. So it's not going to be a person you're going to see. If the people are accessing and they're going, I'm not getting the captioning, well, they need to turn on the CC, closed captioning, see if that works. There's a program called Live Transcription. They want to check for a caption window. There may be a caption window along with the 2 interpreters. And also, if they ask for a link to captioning, we are also offering links to an external service provider. If they log into, it's going to be presented at the beginning of the presentation. They log into a presentation, 30 seconds after that's been put into the chat box for the link, they're not going to see it. So that's one of the problems with Zoom and the chat box. You only see things from when you first entered there. So keep that in mind. They're just going to have to ask the person for the link. So they, either next time or let them know that if they're not seeing it, that they need to ask the presenter. Hopefully they'll be up. Okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to answer, believe me, I'm going to answer all your questions here in a couple minutes. Okay, so these are, other types of inquiries you might get at the help desk. Where is the session? Once again, we're going to have that volunteer chart. Has all the sessions on it, what time, what the name of it is, and what the URL is for logging in. They might ask you where the poster session is. Tell them to go to the PAC Room website. There's a link to it. It's been posted in Mighty Networks. So they should have some sort of familiarity if they've registered. The posters, let them know this, the posters will be up for 2 months. So even though they may want to see it, they can't wait. It's not like a big rush. They aren't going to miss anything. It's not a live presentation. The other problem that we may have is people get locked out of a session. All the passwords for participants to enter in the sessions is the same. That will also be posted on the volunteer checklist. So they should have gotten the same password. If they're having problems with it, you want to be able to contact someone else to go check it. So you are not going to be expected to exit the help desk and go find these things out. Okay, I'm going to first answer the questions that were listed in the chat box. Okay, so Dina, okay, I'm going to first answer Leslie's. How do we put this contact in the chat? You just basically ask them, they'll be in the room. Tell them to access their chat and then let them type it in. Don't you sit there and try and type it in. So tell them to access their chat feature, let them type in their name and contact information at the very least, what their affiliation within the conference is, and then last, what some sort of short synopsis of the problem. If it's looks like something you're not going to be able to do, then you're going to contact the next level, which will be myself. Okay, so Tina, if we don't have an answer that there's someone, yes. So our main purpose here is to let people know that they have getting some sort of assistance. Once again, I want to really stress, chances are that during a live presentation, it may be kind of tough to troubleshoot and fix a problem. So let them know that, a lot of the answers you may be giving or the help they're going to get is probably only going to apply to the next session that they attend. So I don't expect you to know how to do it, but if you can collect that information, through the chat, it will really help, because then we can go back and contact them, whether it's their email, whether it's a text, whether they want to communicate through Mighty Networks, whatever it is. It would really help if we have that. So then we can get back to them, not you, someone else is going to be probably me, or it could be the sign language interpret company, someone like that. So if you get as much information, contact myself first, and next will be Naomi. I have the information on here, so just so you know. Okay. We are offering, next question is under live transcribe, hide show. I can turn this on and off. The text is appearing below your side, even with the subtitle turned off. Constant typing, texting, all you're speaking is different than the subtitle. Okay, I want to just explain something. Yeah, live transcription is a built-in program into Zoom. So I just turned it on for this recording to see how it worked for recording purposes. Once again, they're gonna this is something that the person going into the session is going to be able to access. So I don't believe, some programs can't do it. In other words, if you have a regular Zoom account, I don't think it has access to live transcription. I think you have to have a pro account. So once again, you're not here to trouble, just ask them, do you have a pro account? Because only the pro accounts get live transcription working, full time. The other, okay, Cindy, did you want to?
The live transcript or the automatic closed captions is related to whoever's hosting. So if your account as the host has them, then anyone viewing can turn them on.
So sometimes some of the features, you can actually have the window open. Like I've been able to click it on and it opens up and it says who's talking. You can see it in real time in a separate window. I just don't want to start getting into all the different options that people have, but you're correct that they should be able to see it. I just don't want. Go ahead, Cindy. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Was you were listing several different options for turning on captions. My question was, are you hiring captioners for each of these sessions, or is it only the automatic captions that they have access to?
So we have, yes, we should be having live captioners coming there. They're either going to be offering a URL for people to use and open up in a separate window. Some of them may be able to put on text below. I don't want you to get into that because it's going to depend on, which live captioner shows up. Hopefully the live transcription will be turned on all the meetings. So technically they should be offering both.
But you don't want to tell people to turn both on because then it gets really messed up.
Okay, my understanding, we're dealing with Sprint Relay. My understanding is that they do not have an interface to work with Zoom. I talked to the head tech person and he says that the Hawaii area, which we are going to be, accessing the service, does not have direct access to Zoom. However, I've scheduled several other meetings and I talked to the captioner. Some of them have the ability to do it. So they're all subcontracted all over the United States. So yeah, you're correct. If they do come on and start doing it, it's going to come across the screen, which will probably, so they're going to have to turn one of them off. So like I said, I don't want to get you too much in there answering all these kind of questions because you don't want to be sitting there trying to, troubleshoot something that, may or may not work. I've tried to do it. It can be very frustrating and you're not going to be expected to do that. Okay. Okay. Do they address their chat? It actually does. That's a good question. So Leslie asked, if they put everything into the chat, does it go, everybody can see it? This came up the last session that I did. So if they don't want to give out information like that, which can be true, they may want to just do a direct message to you. As the host of the room, I'll be able to see all messaging. So everyone who enters in there won't be able to see it, but I'll be able to see it. So if they say, I don't want them seeing this, just do a direct message to you or direct message to somebody else, and I'll be able to access it. That's a good question. The other one we had, what if I'm on there, we have a backlog of people, I would suggest just doing it in the order that they came. If they have some kind of issue they don't want to have other people discussing, we will have the option of creating a breakout room to do it. I don't want you spending too much time trying to troubleshoot things that just, may or may not happen. I realize people get frustrated. I mean, I get frustrated with Zoom and internet and all that stuff. So you aren't going to be expected to fix all the problems. You're going to be able to offer them some, some fast, quick solutions. And then if you can't do it, then you're going to contact, like I said, myself or Naomi. I would prefer if you contacted me first, Naomi has a lot of other things to do. If I don't get back to you within like a minute, 2 minutes, then go ahead and ask, then contact Naomi. I just prefer that I be the first point of contact. I plan to spend most of my time in the help room. I'm not attending any of the sessions. I'm not doing anything else. So if I'm out of there, it just means either I had to step away and help somebody with an issue, or else, I just went to lunch or something. Someone asked me if they can take breaks. Yes, you can take breaks. We're hoping to have enough people inside the room at all times. We realize that may not always be feasible, but just try to make an attempt at least have somebody there so we can okay, attend to it. So I'm gonna give you the addresses here in a minute on how to contact us. So one way to do it is you can just go in the chat feature, do a direct message to me. That's one way to do it. I will be coming in and checking it. I mean, if you have to leave for something, you need to leave. So that is one way to do it. If you feel like this is a big emergency, like I said, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. But if it's like a presenter or one of the people hosting the Zoom meetings, it probably is an emergency. So if you need to contact me, these are the two ways to do it, either through my email, I'll be constantly checking it, or else text me directly. Just say who you are. Hey, you're needed in the help. All you have to say is something like you're needed at the help Zoom room. You don't have to go into any big details. The slides will be posted for everybody. The slides will also be giving you a little packet of information before the conference actually starts. One of them is the link to that volunteer page. I guarantee you that if all of you've gone in and signed in for times, that's the document that's on. You just have to use one of the other tabs to access the schedule. My guess is, of course, a lot of things can happen. That probably will be one of the biggest challenges people have, is accessing the correct session at the correct time with the correct URL. And all that information will be on that sheet. Like I said, if I'm not getting back to you in like 2 minutes, and if you feel that it is an emergency, please contact Naomi. That information should be on that sheet too. I just have her email here. I didn't ask her if I could. I didn't want to necessarily release her text. She did want me to do it. So anyway, are there any other questions? Okay, once again, we really do appreciate all of you being volunteers. We're looking forward to an interesting conference. This is the first one we've done completely virtual. So there's going to be a few challenges along the line. That's to be expected with anything that's virtually online. So once again, I really appreciate it. I will be opening up the help desk. So let's say for some reason you get on there and it's not open, just contact me right away. There could have been some mix up there's supposed to not be a passcode on the help desk. So I want to make that clear. They've already assigned a Zoom account for it. I tested out, should be fine, but things can happen. So feel free to contact me. If you have any concerns or other questions, just email me directly. I think all of you have my email address. I'll try to get back to you, as soon as I can. Okay, at that, I'm going to end the recording.
Excuse me, Tom, may I ask
Yeah.
a question?
Yes.
I'm not sure if you already answered my question in the chat box or not. Sorry if I missed it. I was wondering, when we are two volunteers in a room, how are we supposed to answer participants? Like, for example, me and one of my friends, should I answer it?
Okay, that's a good question. If you're there and they come in, either one of you can, hey, just, give me your name, give me your contact information, what's your affiliation with the conference, what's your question? I mean, I would just try to get that information first. Then if neither one of you think, oh, this isn't something said, okay, we're going to contact, the accessibility of the tech guy or whatever. Like I said, I don't expect you to troubleshoot their
Okay.
problems. The big
Gotcha.
thing is if we can help people, that'll be great.
Okay.
Okay, they're going to
Thank you.
be, they're just going to be showing up. Like you show up at this Zoom, they're just going to be appearing. So their name may not be what the real name is. I mean, they could just have a short name, or they could be using
Mhm.
somebody else's account. So that's why I think it's important that you get down their name, and also, you know, any kind of contact information would really help out.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, well, that was actually a pretty good question. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting experience. So anyway, once again, thank you for coming.